So last episode I left you with the walls and ceilings being taped and mudded and ready for primer, and hey presto, here comes 60 gallons of the finest primer known to man being delivered to our Delray Beach townhome project. Any surfaces that are going to receive electrical panels, switches or ceiling lights, in fact any nook or cranny that won't fare well with paint covering, needs to be protected, and prior to the primer being applied, a crew has come in to cover such vulnerable areas. And here is the little monster that is going to do all the damage. Over the next few days, this electric paint sprayer is going to distribute nearly 12,000 square feet of paint collectively on each of the townhome's ceilings and walls. And I can tell you personally that this painter has every right to cover up every bodily orifice, because this paint gets everywhere. And so the process begins. With primer, there is only need for one coat. Remember, the purpose of this exercise is to give the final aesthetic coats of paint a surface to adhere to that is smooth and without undulation, pits or cracks, giving the walls and ceilings the feelings of opulence. Each townhome will require approximately 20 gallons of primer, with each gallon covering nearly 200 feet of surface. But it's not just a case of spraying the walls, they also have to be rolled meticulously to get the required surface finish. Each townhome will use 4 5-gallon buckets of primer, and it will take 1 full day to prime each of the townhome's ceilings and wall surfaces. It looks very easy, doesn't it? But I can tell you that I've tried this exercise myself and made a complete duck's arse out of it. There is a technique that you can only get through thousands of hours of doing this type of job, and as I've said many times, the experts make it look easy. And this is where you need the safety breathing apparatus that the painter is using in this enclosed space. I was standing here filming, and apart from feeling that life was very, very good for a fleeting few seconds, the fumes were overwhelming. These walls and ceilings have been primed, and I will show you video later on in this episode of the completed priming project. So, while I have your attention watching paint dry, can I please remind you that in order to be notified that there is a new episode of CITV on our channel, you will have to press the subscribe button and click the reminder bell below, and that way you'll be kept not only up to date with what's happening at the Delray Beach townhome project, but also any new investment opportunities that will be coming up shortly. As we enter the last phases of this beautiful project, there is something happening new every day, and I want you to be the first to know about it, so press those buttons now. Oh, and by the way, happy Thanksgiving. I'm sure we all have something to be thankful for in our own way. These temporary air conditioning units need to be connected to the townhome's electricity supply, and these gentlemen from our subcontractors Razorback Electric are preparing to do just that. These temporary AC units will consume between 3,000 to 4,000 watts per hour. So we need to provide 15 to 16 amps of electricity for these units, and therefore Razorback will be wiring to a 20 amp breaker, which should be sufficient. These temporary air conditioning units are essential for our craftspeople to work comfortably in the first stages of the interior build out, before we switch over to the in-house air conditioning units. These workers are sealing hoses to temporary panels, and it is essential that we keep all the air in the unit so it doesn't escape out into the open, which would cost us a lot of money, as we would need to pump more cold air in to maintain the cool temperatures. Each one of these units are 2 tons. Now, it's called this not because of the weight of the unit, but because it has the capacity to remove heat equivalent to melting 2 tons of ice in a 24-hour period. Now, if you're a pig for facts, this means it can cool a space by removing 24,000 British thermal units, BTUs, of heat per hour. The hoses go to 2 levels on each townhome, which will cool approximately 1,400 square feet, enough to work comfortably. And this is what it looks like on the inside. Not pretty, but we're going for function over form. We will also attack hotspots with smaller indoor portable AC units. This is the finished stair stringers, now beautifully powder coated in black after the primer was applied last month. This is the final application before we swap out the temporary wooden stairs with the finished polished wooden treads that we put in at the end of the internal build out. Now, the guys that are doing this job must be coming in at the middle of the night, because I've been trying to get a shot of them powder coating these stringers for the past month without success, and it's really hacking me off. So here's a stock video from Getty Images, more to satisfy me than you really. "100 hi-hats, 85 light switches and dimmers, 100 plug sockets have to be fitted into the ceilings and walls of each townhome, and they all have to be wired back to each townhome's electrical panel, like these two." That's a lot of work in my book, especially as you have to do it 3 times over. Cutting, stripping, tightening down has to be done painstakingly slow, as otherwise things just don't work. Now, we've used Razorback Electric on all our projects, and we have found all their electricians wonderful. Now, that's not a shameless plug, pardon the pun, but that's a factual remark.
Tony is his name. You remember Tony? He was over here at the video camera.
Yeah, but I ain't seen myself
You
on
were
TV.
you were on the ladder. I'll send you the link.
And now for the plumbing. This worker is measuring and cutting the membrane for the shower and tub in the townhome bathrooms. When he's cutting this membrane, he is making sure that there's enough overlap for the seams. The floor has to be prepared to accept the membrane by spreading primer across the floor surface to ensure proper adhesion. Then a thin set mortar is laid on top of the primer before the membrane is placed on top of the mortar. The waterproof membrane is then trimmed while it's on the floor, and any air bubbles smoothed out using a notched trowel. Waterproof seam tape or additional membrane pieces are added where needed to reinforce seam edges and corners to ensure all overlaps are tightly sealed. It is then left to cure for ideally 24 hours, after which tile can be laid and shower trays added without any fear of leaks. Here the elevator shafts are being prepared to take the elevator cabs. First order of play is to put in the wooden uprights and metal cross beams, so when the cab rises through the lift shaft it doesn't bump against the walls or judder as it goes between floors. Now, I doubt that Danielle, who is on the sales and project management team, or Gina in administration, who are my daughter and wife respectively, will ever travel in these upwardly mobile glass coffins as they will view them. Everyone else, without a fear of elevators, will see them as a spectacular feature. Anyway, travelling the townhouse through the floors is better than the alternative, don't you think? Yes, we now have lights. Razorback Electric have expertly installed all the ceiling lights and associated switches alongside power sockets, etc. Now, there was a time when we thought we were going to struggle to get the AC into this project, but thank the Lord, sanity prevailed. And what is Victor doing here?
Alright, just hot checking everything to make sure that everything is correct and stuff. We're getting ready for an inspection, so we're doing this right before the inspector gets here to make sure we're okay.
To make things even more delicious, the beautiful tile for the bathrooms has arrived on site, and the tile installers are finishing off the prep for the bathroom floors and walls. We will show you how they got on in next month's episode. But if you look closely, you can see the first tiles being hung. These workers are digging trenches to lay lines. Now, you and I know them as pipes, and they will remove sewage, or in polite terms grey water, from each townhome and carry it into the sewage system, which we connected to eons ago. And if you remember from last year, we made several videos all about the associated problems that we encountered trying to find a lost city main sewage pipe. But all's well that flows well, as they say. Anyway, as you can see here, once the lines are laid and connected to the townhome, they are then buried. And I will show you more details of the complete drainage infrastructure next month. This plumber is attaching a copper riser pipe to the water meter, which will be connected to a backflow preventer that he is constructing, as seen here, above the riser. This device will stop contaminated water from flowing back into the municipal water supply. This is a very brief diagram of what he is assembling. As an example, heaven forbid there was a fire in an adjoining property and the local water pressure dropped. As the street's fire hydrants are being used, the backflow preventer stops contaminated water from the property entering the public water system. This is mandated, naturally, and inspected regularly by the city. Just tell everyone what you're doing.
I'm cleaning the pipes so that when I put the flux on and heat them up, the solder will pull into the joints and make a complete seal so we don't have any leaks. And these are for the 3 backflow meters that are going in for each house.
Alright, which are over here.
And those are where the city comes in and we hook up to get water to the house.
The floors are going in, folks. Now it's getting serious. All 3 floors of all 3 townhomes are having the floors scraped, swept and mopped in readiness to lay 7.5 tons of self-levelling thin-set mortar upon which our beautiful luxury vinyl plank tiles will be laid. And we will show you the entire process next episode. Thanks to all of you that have been with us for the entire 4-year journey, that have shared with us the trials and tribulations of building these 3 beautiful luxury townhomes from out of the dirt, where it was hard to imagine that we would go from this to this. I have one small request, and that is for you to subscribe to our channel by hitting the subscribe button below this video, together with the reminder bell, so we can grow our channel and you can follow along with us to the completion of this exciting journey, and also see what other projects we have in mind for the coming year. Have an awesome, enjoyable Thanksgiving, and me and the team will catch up with you next month.